For many Alabama fans, game two of the Players Invitational is going to feel a little bit like Midnight Madness as UNLV running Rebels and the Alabama Crimson Tide will finish out the second day of the Players Invitational in Las Vegas. I'm Charles Branch, and this is Crimson Crossover Cross Court, and I'm pleased to be joined by basically the host for this week in Las Vegas, Ryan Staker of the Rebellion podcast with UNLV. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Very excited for UNLV football. We got a massive win last night. UNLV basketball seems to be tending in the right direction. So, yeah, I'm great, and I've been looking forward to doing this. So, thank you again for having me.
No, this is I always tell people we started Crimson Crossover for Alabama fans to share their opinions and really talk about basketball. And I know that's what you do a lot on the Rebellion podcast as well, not just basketball, but UNLV as a whole. So I want to start there. Tell us a little bit more about your fandom for UNLV and tell us a little bit about your podcast.
All right, so I basically started it because I'm a UNLV hoops junkie, diehard my entire life. Growing up in Vegas, we didn't have a pro team. That was all we had was the Rebels. So like that was always my team, and to this day, I'm. It's much different in Vegas now. We have the Raiders, we have the Aces, we have the Golden Knights. So kind of UNLV has kind of been cast aside. It's not as big as it used to be, but there's still a few of us diehards left, and I just love talking about the team and the program. And I just don't. I didn't really have people to talk about it with that much. Like I could talk to my dad about it for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then he just changes the subject. And I'm just a weird obsessed fan. So I started the podcast just so I could talk about the team and talk about UNLV sports. And I was like, I might as well just talk to myself, but with a microphone. And it's been fun. I've enjoyed doing it. I got a really cool logo that I'm proud of. I probably spent way too much money on that logo. My wife didn't know about that, but she's going to know about it now because she's going to listen to this. But yeah, that's kind of how the podcast started, and it's just a fun little hobby that I really enjoy doing.
Well, being a diehard UNLV fan, especially back in the day in the Jerry Tarkanian era, there wasn't a bigger, basketball program or having as much success maybe as what UNLV was doing back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So for our Alabama fans who may not be up to speed on the UNLV history of basketball, which includes a national championship and I believe four Final Four appearances, tell us a little bit about UNLV's history and success on the hardwood.
Yeah, so Jerry Tarkanian came to Las Vegas from Long Beach State in the early 70s, and he turned us into a powerhouse basketball program. And people under the age of 40 have no clue about that. We were a powerhouse, and like you said, four Final Fours and a national championship. We actually have the record for largest margin of victory in a national championship game. We beat Duke 101-71, I think was the final. And so we were just becoming more and more of this powerhouse, dominant force in college basketball with Jerry Tarkanian. And then the city just completely rallied around the team, and that was our. I mean, that was just kind of what Vegas was known for. It was the best. It was the most entertaining thing you could see on the strip was UNLV basketball. And Jerry Tarkanian is responsible for starting the kind of like the baggier shorts with the long black socks. Like that was not a thing. It was, that was considered, what quote unquote ghetto players would do. And so we started this trend, and we kind of became vilified to the rest of the country. Like old conservatives thinking like we shouldn't be playing that way. And it just made UNLV basketball cool. Right. And it was such a amazing experience. I'm unfortunately not old enough that I remember Jerry Tarkanian when he was coaching. I was just a baby when we won our championship. But the sad reality is that despite his success and despite how monumental he is or was to the city of Las Vegas, we got a new president, Robert Maxson, who came in, got the job, and wanted to force Tarkanian out because of all Tark's legal battles with the NCAA. He was harassed by the NCAA for years. I have just a extreme animosity towards the NCAA for bias reasons, but overall, just the stuff that they do. because they would harass UNLV, put all their resources into going after us, trying to catch us cheating, while ignoring the rich, powerful schools that had all the money. Just not even paying attention to them. The reality is, Tark was cheating, but you know who else was? Everybody. But they put all their time into UNLV, and so that led to Tark having to be forced out. And then I like to say, half jokingly, we're cursed now because of that, because he was the greatest thing to ever happen to Las Vegas, and we've never been good ever since then, pretty much. And in the last 12, 13 years, we haven't made the NCAA tournament. We're irrelevant in the college basketball world. And, us diehards are still holding on to hope that, there might be, a small chance that we could eventually get back to national relevancy. So that was the best way I could try to sum up the Jerry Tarkanian area without talking too much.
Look, I know a lot of Alabama fans will agree with you about the NCAA. I remember in the early 2000s with all the NCAA investigations on the football side that a lot of Alabama fans really considered the NCAA as the national corruption against Alabama. So no, we're no fans of the NCAA over here as well. As UNLV has been trying to get back, you've actually had some pretty good coaches come in to UNLV. I know Lon Kruger was there, TJ Otzelberger, who's now at Iowa State. But now you've got a name that I think some Alabama fans would be familiar with too, and Josh Pastner, who was at Memphis and now at Georgia Tech. He's 5 games into his early tenure, but what have you liked or disliked as far as his start leading the Running Rebels?
Yeah. So before I get into Pasner real quick,
Yeah,
we also hired Chris Beard,
yeah,
and
that's right.
who is right now is one of the best coaches in college basketball. And he was our coach for a total of 2 weeks before he left and took another job after getting rid of all our players, mind you. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But so when the news came out that we hired Josh Pasner, the reaction from UNLV fans, there was actually a lot of disappointment. For me, I wasn't disappointed or excited. I was kind of more like, huh, all right, well, at least we're gonna have a lot of talent. That was kind of my thoughts. But man, I have never seen a 180 in terms of fans, their feelings towards him and their belief and encouragement towards him in such a short amount of time than we have with Josh Pazner. I mean, we went from fans saying this is a horrible hire, what are we doing? He's not a good coach, to oh my God, this is the most perfect hire ever. We love him. We are 100% all in on Josh, like so quickly, just from getting to know his personality. He's like the most likable dude on the planet, and he's so hardworking. So immediately, Rebel fans were like all in. And for the first 5 games into the season, let me tell you, I have never seen Rebel fans more excited about a 3-2 team. We have 2 home losses to teams that are good, but they're still lower Division I programs, and we lost to them at home. But the fact that we're putting up 94 points per game, we have the most athletic team that we've had since the early 2010s when we had Dave Rice. We just play a very exciting brand of basketball. We have players diving all over the floor, lots of dunks, lots of alley oops. It's been great, and we're just hoping that we can continue trending in the right direction. All it takes is a couple really bad losses to bring fans a little bit back to reality, which could happen. We have a very tough upcoming schedule, but yeah. So mainly to answer your question, I would say overall UNLV fans are pretty happy and excited with where we're at so far.
So with that excitement, Players Era is in Las Vegas, and while this is all considered a neutral site, anytime UNLV is going to play in the Players Era, it's going to be like a home game. And so, especially with the style that you're playing, and like you said, scoring 94 points, and Alabama likes to play an up tempo style too. Before we really dive into the game, I just want to get your feedback as far as going into this tournament, the expectations from UNLV fans of just showing up, being loud, and creating it a tough environment for anybody that's playing UNLV, even though it's going to be considered a neutral site for the Players Era.
So I wish, had we played you guys in 2012, 2013, we would have brought 10,000 loud, screaming fans to this game. Our fan base has just kind of just dwindled into nothing. Like we get 4 or 5,000 fans a game now, whereas we used to average 13,000, and we would sell out a few games a year. So, with that said, we'll definitely get a good amount of fans there, and obviously it is an advantage being in Las Vegas. So the fans that do go, though, they will be loud, they will cheer hard, and all it takes is just a little bit of excitement to start to get people's interest perked up. And I think we could, with each win, with each successful victory, I guess you could say, we'll start to get more and more of a better attendance, and hopefully rally behind this team, because God, they deserve it. They play so hard. They deserve to have more fans watching them. But definitely excited for this opportunity. It reminds me a lot of when we played number one North Carolina back in, I believe it was 2011. We played North Carolina at the Orleans Arena. I would say we had about 12,000 fans there. North Carolina had about 5,000 fans there, and we beat them. And it was one of the best wins in our school history. And so this game against Alabama feels pretty similar to that, though I don't think we're going to get the amount of fans that we had for the North Carolina game, sadly.
So you talked about Josh Pastner bringing in a lot of talent, and I'm sure we won't get into some of those other players, but one familiar name to Alabama fans is Nas Cunningham, who was at Alabama last year. He did redshirt the entire year, but how has his start, basically the start of his career, since he didn't play last year, how's the start of his career in a UNLV uniform been for UNLV and the Running Rebels and for Nas?
Yeah, so it was definitely exciting when we landed him as a transfer, because the guy's upside is ridiculous. He was a former number one overall ranked high school player. I mean, we're talking 6'7", long arms, elite lateral quickness, 38-inch vertical, and just tons and tons of upside. And my understanding of when he was coming here was that he was a shooter, right? And I'm like, okay, we got a guy who's this long and athletic, can run the floor like a gazelle, plays great defense, and can shoot. I mean, this is what the NBA drools over. So, but I was like, all right, he redshirted at Alabama. He transferred, so there's got to be a reason for that. Can't get my hopes up too much. So far, he's looked great in certain areas. He plays very good defense. He's awesome on a fast break. He's so athletic that he can, throw down a monstrous dunk when you're not even expecting it. But he has not shot the ball well at all. So I think he's shooting maybe 20% from the 3-point line, and he's losing confidence. He doesn't have much of a mid-range game either. So if he can just focus on what he does best, defending, getting out and running, catching lobs, I think the rest will eventually come to him. He's just got to work on it, and then, start shooting them a little bit more, and he'll get more confident. But happy with him so far. I would like to see him continue to improve and then come back next year and eventually become like a star wing player for us.
So, who are some of the guys that UNLV has leaned on early on in the season that Alabama fans should be familiar with prior to this game on Tuesday night?
So, arguably, our best player is Kamani Hamilton. He is a transfer from High Point. He's arguably our best defensive player, arguably our best offensive player. Just an athletic, slashing, stretch power forward. He actually was a two-time first team. I don't remember the name of High Point's conference right now.
Big
Uh,
South.
Thank
Big
you so
South
much.
Conference.
Big South. He was a first team All Big South the last 2 years. So he comes from a winning culture, and that's huge. That means a lot. Before that, he was at Mississippi State, 4-star recruit out of high school. So he's definitely our most valuable player, I would say, in terms of everything he brings to the table. He just can't stay out of foul trouble. He just fouls everybody all the time. So if I'm Alabama, I'm attacking Kamani Hamilton all game long. And then Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, he is a transfer from Illinois, very athletic, lots of talent. He's just one of those guys that, one game he can get hot. He hits 4 or 5 threes, scores 25 points, and then the next game he kind of disappears. So he kind of fell out of the rotation for a very good Illinois team last year, but he showed glimpses of what he's capable of. And so far he's been really good for us. He's averaging 16 a game, and he's just every now and then he'll just get the crowd just jumping to their feet because he throws down a nice power dunk on a fast break, which looks good when a 6-foot guy does that. And then we have two amazing freshmen, true freshmen. Isaac Williamson, who went off against Memphis at Memphis. He went 6 for 10 from the 3 point line. He had 5 steals. He's just one of those guys who's not afraid of anybody. He just has ice in his veins. Just been such a pleasant surprise because we got him late. He was originally committed to New Mexico. New Mexico lost their coach, so he decommitted and then came to the rival UNLV, which New Mexico fans can't be too happy about that because he's been pretty incredible so far. And then our other freshman, Tyron Jones. This guy has, I would say, next to Nas Cunningham, the most raw talent on the roster. 6'9", long, athletic, runs like a gazelle, very bouncy. He had 6 blocks against St. Joseph's and like 4 tip dunks. So just a freak athlete. And we're really putting a lot of pressure on these two freshmen to will us to victory, which is a lot to ask for true freshmen. So I would say those are kind of our main guys, and then we have a few other pretty solid role players.
So both teams will be coming of just played a game Monday night as well. Both teams like to play up tempo. As you mentioned, UNLV's averaging about 94 points a game. Alabama's in the 90-point range as well. When they throw the ball up late at night, which will be an 11 o'clock p.m. tip Central Time for us, we've got some fans that it'll be the next day for them watching the game. What are your expectations? What do you think are the keys to the game when Alabama and UNLV take the floor on Tuesday night?
So I'm glad you asked because I I wrote down keys to victory for both teams. So for UNLV, first of all, don't play scared. You're playing. I this is what I call Alabama. Alabama is UNLV on steroids. They play very similar style. They have similar athletes. They have they, as in you, Alabama, have 2 guards that are your star players that can really light it up, just like us. Just yeah, a lot of long, athletic, very analytical based basketball, high scoring. But it's Alabama. You guys are national championship contenders. You have overall more talent, top to bottom, even with our roster being the most talent we've had in years. So yeah, I would say the first is don't be scared. Like play against Alabama like you did against Memphis. You'll be fine. We'll be fine. Uh, and the next one was keep your man in front because Alabama, the way Alabama attacks the rim, these guards have a really quick first step. They're incredible at driving and kicking. Again, analytical based basketball. So if we're just constantly getting beat off the dribble, it's just going to be lob dunks and kick out threes for Alabama all day, and we're going to give up 120 points. Stay out of foul trouble. I would say so. We played 5 games. 4 of our 5 games, we've had multiple starters in foul trouble. Our last game against St. Joseph, we had 4 starters that had 3 fouls at halftime, and that killed us. And then don't turn the ball over because, again, Alabama is going to get out and run, and it's going to be a long night for us if we're not taking care of the ball. For Alabama, if you really want to, expose UNLV, if you will, it's attack the rim, and because our guys are going to foul you. Get to the rim, attack, play aggressive. Don't just settle for threes. Continue to do what's worked so far. Post up your bigs. We don't have the best interior defense. We have a 7-foot transfer from Arizona who's hurt. He's not playing. We have a Laji Dembele, a transfer from Iowa, who's a massive, looks like an NFL tight end. He's also not playing. And so we really have very little interior defense. So our post players are skinny. They're like 190 pounds. So if you could take it at them, like that's going to be an advantage. Force us to shoot threes. If we're settling for threes, look, we're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country right now. I do think that's going to improve because we have guys that were proven shooters at their previous school. If you force us to shoot threes, that's just going to be a big advantage for Alabama. And then the last is don't underestimate us. You know what? Who else underestimated us? Memphis. And we kicked the crap out of them because we have really good players, very athletic players. And when we figure it out and we're confident and we get things going, we're a pretty damn good team. Based on the 2 losses we had earlier in the season, we were kind of seen as like this horrible loss for Memphis. But UNLV fans have been paying attention. We weren't that surprised with the result of that game. All it is you get guys that figure it out for one game. Things are going their way. They get comfortable. They get confident, and you can beat anyone. Unfortunately, we could probably also lose to anyone at this point. So that was my keys to the game for both teams.
So there will be another game in the Players Era. We have no idea who it's going to be, but looking past the Players Era and the rest of non-conference, Mountain West Conference basketball has been really good. I mean, Alabama fans are familiar with San Diego State. Boise State's been good out there as well. We talked about UNLV and New Mexico and Utah State. There's a lot of names within there that you see a lot in March. So you talked about, Josh Pastner's trying to build something in his first year. What are your expectations for this year, and do you allow yourself to kind of start projecting of where you want to see this team down the road with Josh Pastner?
Yeah, so I think I can probably speak for the other diehard Rebel fans because that's going to be different. The casual fans thinking more concrete, like we need to, like specifically, I want to win this, I want to win that. Whereas for the diehards, we just want to feel encouraged about the direction of the program. We want to feel good moving into the future. So if we're getting better as the season goes on, and we give ourselves reasons to think like, okay, Pasner has this train going in the right direction. We have a lot to be excited for. That's mainly what I want to see. The Mountain West is always solid. We've had teams in the past that were very talented, and we were, picked to win the conference or finish top two, and then we would finish like fourth or fifth. So we've definitely struggled in the conference many years. Like you said, San Diego State's they've just become a brand. They are an amazing program, and Boise's always good as well. So, with all that said, with our roster and our athleticism and talent, I'm expecting us to finish in the top three. I would say four at worst, with a really good chance of winning that tournament that is played in Vegas. So we have an advantage, but it's never shown. This is how bad we've been over the last 12 years. We have only beaten Air Force since 2013 in the Mountain West Conference tournament. A team with a bunch of short, unathletic white guys that they have no career in basketball after college, and that's the only team we've beaten in the last 12 years. So we have not done well in the Mountain West Conference tournament at all. So if Josh can just do that, win a couple games in the tournament, that alone will get fans to buy in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I talked about it offline, and so I did want to bring it online. Outside of just UNLV, you talked about, you've got this UNLV podcast, but you're also very into Las Vegas sports. And pro teams are starting to come to Las Vegas, and one of them being the Las Vegas Aces for the WNBA. And Aaliyah Nye, who was a great player at Alabama, got drafted by the Aces as a rookie, was on that team this year as they won the championship. It's not the first professional championship. I know the Golden Knights won it in hockey in their second year. But as far as just like these professional teams and all that, what's it been like to have not only professional teams, but champions in Las Vegas now that you've got all these teams, that are competing against each other now for tickets and all that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Getting to experience the Golden Knights winning the cup. The Aces have won 3 championships. It's been awesome, and honestly, I'm becoming spoiled. UNLV football got good out of nowhere. UNLV football was a terrible program for the past 3 decades, and then we hired Barry Odom a few years ago. Now we've won 30 games in the last 3 seasons, and we've only lost like 8 games. So that's been awesome. The Aces have been dominant. The Golden Knights from day one were like a really, really good team. And so it's been fun. Like the whole city kind of rallied behind the Golden Knights because it happened right after that massacre shooting. And it was just kind of the timing was right because it kind of brought us all together. And we were able to just bond over the Golden Knights. So it's been awesome. I will say like the only downside is it has stolen a lot of UNLV basketball fans. If there's a Golden Knights game the same night as a UNLV basketball game, you can expect a very, very low attendance number at that UNLV basketball game. But that aside, it's been fun, and we have we have the A's coming. We'll eventually get an NBA team, and it's cool. Growing up in Vegas, born and raised, I got to see Las Vegas kind of turn to this little small city where people would just go to gamble and watch shows and that to an actual really big legitimate city with pro sports and it's been really cool growing up here, living here, witnessing, experiencing all that.
Well, Ryan, I really appreciate your time in previewing this game for our Alabama fans. Where can people follow you on Twitter, your podcast? Give us a couple promotions as far as where people can keep up with you the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on Twitter. It's just the Rebellion Podcast. And that's kind of where I do the most of my advertising, I guess you could call it. But yeah, that's where I can be found. But honestly, like Ryan Staker, Staker. I'm on Instagram. Anyone that wants to reach out to me, talk sports, I'm all about that. So thank you again for having me. This was fun. I could talk about this topic all day. I know you have to keep it to a certain time frame, but it is. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I'll put the we'll put some mentions where people can find you in the show notes, make it a little bit easier for them. But no, I really appreciate you giving us the time, you being the host basically for us this week out in Las Vegas as well. I know Alabama fans will continue to be keeping up with UNLV the rest of the year, seeing as hopefully Alabama can get a win and you will continue to strengthen our schedule, dominating the Mountain West Conference. But again, Ryan, really appreciate your time. And as I tell everybody, I wish you good luck the rest of the season. Not on Tuesday night, but the rest of the season for UNLV.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned that I am on all podcast platforms. If you want to look me up, I didn't. I left that part out, but yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm wishing both of us, all the players, teams, healthy. Have a great season, and yeah, it's going to be fun.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.